handout? Are you
No, ma'am.
your presentation?
This is for me.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, well, we are going to go ahead and begin. We want to welcome you to the city of New Orleans and to the Southern University of New Orleans campus. On behalf of Dr. Milton and this entire council, we want to congratulate you for ascending to this point in the process. And we just want to take a moment just to reintroduce ourselves, and then we'll hear a little bit from you.
Yes, ma'am. Do you mind if I remove the mask?
Sure. And just so that you know, that area has been sanitized.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Dr. Cheney, welcome to Southern University of New Orleans. I'm Russell Honoré, Lieutenant General of the United States Army, retired, Southern University class of 1971. Welcome.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Dr. Cheney, good afternoon. I'm Robin Merrick. I serve as Vice President for External Affairs here for the Southern University system.
Good afternoon, Dr. Cheney. I'm retired assistant professor, School of Social Work, Southern University.
Good afternoon. My name is Jamal Williams. I'm the SGA president.
Good afternoon. I am Lisa Marie Manning Ambrose, alumna.
Good afternoon, Reverend Dr. Torrance Sanders, Associate Professor, School of Social Work.
Nice to meet you.
Dr. Kenya Smith, Southern University of New Orleans.
Hello, my name is Professor Cynthia Ramirez. I'm the president of the Faculty Senate.
Good afternoon, Dr. Cheney. My name is Sean Charles, and I'm the University Comptroller.
Good afternoon. My name is Tiara Washington Kunte from the Office of Administration and Finance.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
And also with us are our IT staff as well. So again, we want to welcome you, and now we'd allow you to make some introductory remarks.
Thank you. Again, let me thank everyone on the committee for allowing me to move into this space. Again, my name is Marcus Cheney. I am a native of Pine Bluff, Arkansas. I'm very proud to say that I'm a third-generation HBCU graduate and also a third-generation educator. I've been in education now for 25 years. 7 of those were served on the secondary level as a teacher, coach, and administrator. For the past 18 years, I've served 3 institutions, one being Jackson State University, where I served as Vice President for Student Life from 2008 to 2014. I was also part of the graduate faculty for the College of Education and Human Development. I moved to Jarvis Christian College in 2014 through 2018, where I served as Vice President for Student Services. And I'm currently at Lincoln University of Missouri, where I'm the Vice President for Student Affairs, Enrollment Management, and also the Executive Assistant to the President for Campus Operations. I also serve on the graduate faculty for the School of Education at Lincoln. I received my BA in Mass Communications from the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, my Master's in Education Administration and Supervision from Jackson State, and also my PhD in Urban Higher Education from Jackson State University. I've done postdoctoral studies at Harvard University and Graduate School of Education, where I received a certificate in Institution Education Management, and also at Indiana University, Purdue University, where I received a certificate through the Lilly Family Foundation of Philanthropy in fundraising management. I've done other works as an author. I believe in my research concentrations are recruiting, retention, looking at African American males in post-secondary institutions, and also the relevance of historically Black colleges and universities. I stand on the personal philosophy, tomorrow's success is founded on today's preparations. Thank you.
Thank you for the introduction. You may begin your presentation.
Thank you. As looking at the noted things that were asked for the presentation, I want to first start, I guess I need to move this. is looking at student enrollment, retention, and graduation. As I reviewed the strategic plan of SUNO, the togetherness empowers all mechanisms, I looked at goal number 1, continue to develop and expand the student recruitment admissions, enrollment, and retention strategies. In meeting the goal of 4,011 for 2025, we would have to develop a strategic enrollment plan that would be developed and reviewing not only our enrollment, our retention, our graduation rates and data for the past 10 years, but also to ensure that the committee encompasses all of the stakeholders. That includes the administrators, faculty, staff, students, and even our community. One of the things that we need to look at as we develop this strategic enrollment plan are two key resources. One is to assist our admissions and recruitment staff in automating and streamlining recruitment. The second is looking at another potential software package that would identify a comprehensive review of students' performance here on campus, providing those tools to effectively engage them at every stage of their journey. This would be done along with our academic faculty, but also some of our staff faculty would be involved in that. One of the things that you can see from my experience, I've been involved in developing strategic enrollment plans throughout my career. This includes planning goals, planning accomplishments, and strategies based on data. The plan that we would do would be ensuring academic quality, financial stability, the increase of enrollment, student retention, and also those graduation rates by 2025. When we look at accreditation, of course, my goal as chancellor is to ensure that we maintain the university's accreditation. As you all know, the experience that the university went through not complying with 13.1 core requirement financial resources was one I know that was devastating. But as chancellor, I would align that plan that was designed to ensure a balanced budget and the financial base of the institution remains stable. Serving on several SACS committees throughout my career, self-study committee on quality enhancement plan, both at Jackson State and at Jarvis, the Committee for Student Affairs Services and Core Requirements, which I chaired at Jackson State and Jarvis, the Committee on Faculty and Learning Resources and Services, Student Support, Services and Physical Resources at both Jackson State and Jarvis, and also the Committee on Education Programs at Jarvis Christian College. When we talk about faculty recruitment, retention, and development, we need to look at our goal number 3 of the strategic plan, continuing to build institutional capacity to support teaching, research, and service. The plan lays out the plan recruiting faculty to the university, but we need to be looking at opportunities in research and grant opportunities. We need to develop a plan to redistribute, which was said in the plan, a portion of indirect costs back to the programs and or the PI. Looking at also developing a Center for Academic Scholar that will work with faculty members through development, grant writing, and enhancing their skills as a faculty member. This would assist in retention and development of our faculty members. An academic scholarship would also assist in assisting faculty in developing online and hybrid courses that would lead to online degree programming. As chancellor, I would play an integral part in supporting the future success of Southern University New Orleans by working in collaboration with Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs and conducting a comprehensive review of the academic curriculum. As an academic scholar, it would be my responsibility to ensure there are opportunities for our students to be academically prepared for the world of work, but also prepared for graduate and professional school. We also need to look at the delivery mode for our students. We know that during this pandemic, we realized that face-to-face delivery was not everything that we had hoped it to be. We need to look more at hybrid and online course offerings, and this is something that should be essential. In reviewing the online enrollment projection and the goal of obtaining 601 students by 2025, we have to be aggressive in developing more online courses and online degree programs. When attempting to reach the goal of increasing non-traditional students by 70% by 2025, online degree programs are key to our success. In reviewing the goal number 2 of strategic plan, continuing to create finance stability and growth as the Chancellor, I work hand in hand with the Vice Chancellor for Administration and Finance to create operational budgets based on true cost and available revenue, and to develop procedures to ensure excellent service to university constituents. Ensuring our budget process is tied to the strategic plan. As a seasoned administrator, I've been able to maintain fiscal responsibility and adhere to a balanced budget, both in my current position and previous positions. It is key to establish not only a budget process, but to ensure that our stakeholders understand the university-wide budget. I would enable to work with our Vice Chancellor for Academic Administration, and Finance, by establishing a budget advisory group that would actually help and review the budget year. When engaging the university within the community, it's important to establish relationships that can vary from opportunities for our students to engage in community and service learning, internship opportunities, in both graduate and professional schools. I've had the opportunity to lead in the efforts of establishing a community service and service learning center that led to collaborating with over 300 businesses, federal and state agencies to ensure students had opportunities to gain 120 hours of community service and/or service learning within a 4-year matriculation. This led to the center receiving the Carnegie Foundation Award for the advancement of teaching and the President's High Honor Roll for the commitment to service. My goal would also be to increase the number of faculty and staff that participate in education and outreach programs throughout the New Orleans area, state of Louisiana, and the entire country. Lastly, in reviewing goal number 3, which talks about continuing to build institutional capacity to support teaching, research, and service, about increasing the dollar value of proposals funded by 2%, grant proposals funded and awarded by 34%, and fundraising and philanthropical support by 58%, all by 2025. As Chancellor, I'm responsible for this occurrence. As an effective fundraiser, I've been successful in leveraging funds to build a $20 million recreational center, a $28 million student center, and residential halls totaling $26 million. This past academic year, as a member of the Lincoln University fundraising team, we raised $2.2 million during our annual campaign fund drive, which was the highest the university raised in its history. I've also been involved in oversight and submission of federal, state, and foundation grants totaling $4.5 million. Under my leadership, we will be able to stay on track and be able to meet all the goals by 2025. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Cheney. We'll now begin our Q&A component of the interview session, and we'll begin with Ms. Charles.
Good afternoon again.
Good afternoon.
Please describe your plan for moving Southern University at New Orleans forward as a premier 21st century institution of higher learning that fosters a high level of customer service, improved campus morale, continued professional development and training, essentially as an organization where staff and faculty alike can feel a part of achieving this great institution's mission.
I think the first thing is that, as you say, you got to make sure you love yourself. And one of the key things, I think it starts from the top and it works its way down. You have to have a chancellor that truly evolves themselves into the institution for its mission, for its values, for its core values. And that goes all the way down from the administrators to our faculty and to our students and staff. One of the things as we look at moving into being in the 21st century and making Southern University of New Orleans at its best is to look at those academic programs that are already achieved, such as social work. It's a program that's known nationally, and it's to build upon those type of programs, not only in the state of Louisiana, but nationally, and build upon and working with our faculty, working with our staff, and working with that administrative team to ensure that we're able to continue that built upon. And when we talk about that, we're really talking about how do we take SUNO to the next level. And when we talk about customer service, one of the things we have to realize, small things, just how you answer the phone, how you deal with students on a daily basis, those are the small things that go a long way. I always say that a happy student, maybe not always getting their way, makes them a happy alum who will make a difference how much money you make, you'll get back to your institution, which gave you so much. So I believe in that's how you are able to really take SUNO to the next level.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Cheney.
I'm sorry.
How would you, as Chancellor, incorporate the alumni and our alumni association into the retention and recruitment, student retention and recruitment process?
I think one of the things is to find out where the alumni are. We've been very successful at Lincoln University of Missouri by actually making alumni chapters part of the recruiting team. We took them through a training. We provided all of the materials, and it's been very helpful in really assisting in the recruiting process. You know, there's sometimes you can't afford to send recruiters all over the country. So we've reached out to those alumni chapters in New York, California, Texas, our Chicago, Memphis area, and they really assist us all the time when it comes to recruiting. A number of our alumni chapters, I'm going to bring out one in particular in Atlanta, has always taken care of the students that come to Lincoln. So it's about really getting that communication, about really involving them in the process and making them feel that they are part of the process and making sure they follow those rules and regulations that are set by the institution. They're the ones that are your folks on the ground that can really assist you, especially those that are in education. They're right there with those students every day, and they want to give those students an opportunity to excel. And so that's one of the things I would do as far as getting the alum.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon. I apologize. Is it Cheney or Cheney?
It's Cheney.
Cheney.
It sounds like EY, but just spelled like AY. Okay.
Thank you for that. Dr. Cheney, if selected as Chancellor, what do you have in your arsenal of desired accomplishments to engender the goodwill of the community, particularly the business community, to support our Southern University at New Orleans? And please elaborate on opportunities relative to financial support, internships for students, and research possibilities for our faculty.
Okay. Let me start with the community involvement with our businesses. One of the things I've done, it doesn't make a difference where I've lived, either in Jackson, in Hawkins, Texas, which a lot of you all probably never have heard of. That's outside of Tyler, Texas, 90 miles from Dallas, and also at Jefferson City. You have to be involved in the community to really have the community know what's really going on your campus. So as Chancellor, I would be heavily engaged. Right now, I'm currently a part of the Chamber of Commerce in Jefferson City. I'm also on the board for the Eastside Business Association, which is the business association of the city in which the university serves. When I was in Texas, I was a member of the Chamber of Commerce, both in Hawkins and Tyler, but was heavily involved with the small town of Hawkins with the mayor. And when I was in Jackson, I was in a plethora of organizations and activities. But you have to be at the table so that people really realize what you're doing on your campus and truly have an understanding. A lot of times people hear what they want to hear. They get things from the news, but they really truly don't know what things are happening on your campus, where students are accomplishing things, where faculty are getting award-winning grants, where staff are doing well. So those are things that I think being involved in the community is key. I think when you talk about internship opportunities, I've just been blessed where everywhere I've gone, I've had great students. And now these great students now are in positions. And I just had a student just most recently with a company out of Atlanta. And he's not a graduate of Lincoln, but he said, hey, I've got some internship opportunities, Doc. I'm going to send some things your way. So I think it's about building those relationships, not only with the students, but it goes back to building those relationships with alums, so they know what's really going on campus and those internship opportunities. The other thing is, when you talk about internship opportunities, I think you need to establish a faculty council, so faculty members understand what businesses are really looking for. I know a lot of times we get into the classroom and we're going to make sure we follow things by the book, but a lot of times it's helpful, and really being a professor, it's helpful to know what those companies are really looking for. So again, I think that's an opportunity to establish that, and also to bring in not only our local businesses, but also our regional businesses, and be able to really in depth give them details about what's happening on the campuses. And that's really just by inviting them to your campus, by letting them meet your faculty members, by letting them meet those students who are doing well, and so that they can see what you're producing here at SUNO.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Dr. Cheney.
Yes, sir.
How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Currently, SUNO does not have a permanent Vice Chancellor of Student Affairs. The students would like to know, if you were selected as Chancellor, when will you fill that position? What attributes would you look for in the ideal candidate? And what expectations would you have on a selected individual?
So to fill the position, I would say as soon as I can. The type of candidate is one, definitely student-centered. They got to believe in what I believe in. I've been student-centered since I've been in education. They've got to be one to be able to work with the students, work with the SGA. They also have got to be one to be able to really communicate with our faculty. One of the things that I find that a lot of times faculty members really don't understand, might not want to get involved in student organizations and some of the activities, but I'm one that believes that, faculty, especially with our academic clubs, that's a way of getting involved. You might not be involved with the gospel choir, but again, you might be involved with the biology club, and you're pushing and you're working with those students that have an interest in biology. So when you talk about a Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs, that's the kind of person I want to be able to cross over. I'm not one that believes that you're just a student affairs person. You've got to be a institutional person and be able to cross over in all areas and have a clear understanding of how you can assist students and take them to the next level. That's the key thing. I always say at my age now, the students that we produce, that's our future. And so no matter how you look at it, they might be young when they get here, but when they graduate, that's the future of our country. So again, that's the kind of person I would be looking for. Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Cheney, will you please share an example of how you would integrate and promote shared governance on the SUNO campus to better engage faculty in critical decisions relative to advancement and the progression of SUNO?
I think two things. One, I mentioned in my presentation about the Academic Scholarship. I've been involved in two institutions that established that Academic Scholarship. That was a way of engaging faculty in grant writing. A lot of faculty come to campus, especially your new faculty. They might not have ever really been involved in grant writing. They might not understand all the things that go along with researching and putting it out there. So one of the things I would work with the faculty would be to establish that Academic Scholar Center. The other thing is, and I mentioned it also in my presentation, it's kind of it goes in hand with students. We know that from an academic standpoint, teaching, research, and grant writing really are the core pivotal reasons of why we're here, especially from a teaching standpoint. Getting involved with community and service learning, which I did at a previous institution, we really teamed in with the academics. They had to go back. They had to be able to put service learning within that particular curriculum. We started out with 5 faculty fellows one summer, led to 10, led to 15 faculty fellows, and which was a way of faculty being able to really put service learning within their curriculum. And that was working hand in hand with the faculty to ensure that that would happen. So one of the things you have to do, not all the time, we're all not gonna get our way all the time, but you have to have that open listening ear to the faculty. I understand. I had a mother that was a faculty member for almost 35 years. So I understand from a pay standpoint, I understand all of those things, but I also understand the dedication that faculty make in ensuring that our students are successful. So it's really about having a listening ear. It also means it goes down to how much money can we do to be able to do this and be able to do that. But we also have to understand that is our number one reason why we're here.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Cheney, for answering the questions from the council. And as you know, this meeting is being streamed live, so there are some questions that stakeholders
Sure.
have submitted through the chat box, and Dr. Merrick will go through those questions.
Dr. Cheney, good afternoon again.
Good afternoon.
We have a few questions in our chat box that have come over from our stakeholders who are watching. The first question is from W. Hicks. As Chancellor, what will you do in the way of fundraisers and or scholarships to recruit high school students who want to attend college but can't afford it?
I think from a fundraising standpoint, it's about building relationships. I've been at institutions where we know we have fundraisers that are gala intensive. You're raising monies not only for the university, but you're raising monies for organizations such as the UNCF fund. Galas are great. Galas are an opportunity for us to enjoy each other, but galas really don't produce as much money as we would like galas to produce. I think when you look at, and I'm just going previously just this past year, when you're talking about building relationships, you got to build relationships with the right people. It means sometimes if you got to go to events, you've got to be able to, your whole tone should be talking about the institution, university. And it only takes one. I learned that this past year, we had a commitment from one particular person who was not a graduate of the institution. And from there, several other businesses stepped right in behind that one person and who that person was and the business that that person led that's successful. So I think the first thing is about building relationships. I think when you talk about scholarship opportunities, we got to look at the budget. Reality is that, yes, we can provide discounts to students to assist students in getting to the university, but the bottom line is how does that reflect your money? And again, that's a conversation with the Vice Chancellor for Administration and Finance to be able to really look and see how much you can discount. I was at a previous institution, we did discount. We were allowed to discount up to 25%, which we gave in scholarship dollars. But again, that was through discussion and going through a budget process with the Vice Chancellor for Administration and Finance. I've done the same thing at Lincoln. We have two statewide scholarships, which are basically discounts. One is for students that live outside of our 10-county area, where they receive $2,000. They just have to maintain a 2.5 GPA. The other is a discount for those students who live within the 10-county area of the university. We also have a neighboring scholarship, which we call a scholarship, but it's a discount where we allow out-of-state students to come to the university and pay only in-state fees. But again, that's a conversation with the Vice Chancellor of Administration and Finance to know how many of those that you can give out to assist you. So, when you're talking about raising dollars and cents, yes, you want to get as many endowed scholarships raised, but then you also got to be able to look at your operational costs. And then the second thing is to be able to look at discounts. But again, that's a conversation. Without looking at dollars and cents, you wouldn't know how many of those you can actually give until you have that conversation and be able to go through the budget process with that.
Thank you, Dr. Cheney. The next question is from Catherine Causey, and it is pertaining to strategic goal number 1. What are the benchmarks between now and 2025? And specifically, what strategies would you use to meet those benchmarks?
So when we talk about goal number 1, we're talking about enrollment, retention, and graduation rates. I always believe we got to know where we were before we can That was part of what I discussed in the opening about developing a strategic enrollment plan. We just finished our strategic enrollment plan this past year at Lincoln University, Missouri, where I led that enrollment plan. One of the things that we looked at where our students were coming from. We looked at potentially where we can go get our students from. We also looked at the number of students that we had seen an increase of students coming from certain areas outside of the state. And then again, we started looking at retention. When you're not retaining no more than 50% of your student enrollment from first to second year, you really have to look at where you are from a retention standpoint. And it's key to being able to put things in place, and that has to be everybody's business. I always say, even from recruitment is just not admissions and recruitment team's business, it's everybody's business. But retention plays a part in everyone's business. Not only our faculty members, but our staff. Students can get, this generation of Gen Z is totally different than when I was in school. It takes one little thing for them to get upset, and they can call home and say, I'm coming home. That was unheard of during my time. You gotta have a real good reason to want to come home. And so when you look at that, retention becomes everybody's problem. So in that strategic enrollment plan, we have to really look at our retention, look at our graduation rates. And that's why I say you have to have that pool from everyone. That committee has to be everyone, from the administrators to our faculty, to our staff, and our community. Because it's important that students realize at the end of this journey, what are my opportunities? Be it graduate professional schools and or the world of work. So hopefully that answered the question to that goal number one.
Thank you for that response. The next question is coming from Ms. Laquita Thomas. She serves as the national president of the Southern University Alumni Federation. She says, Dr. Cheney, thank you for your presentation. As a result of the Black Lives Matter movement and injustices we continue to see across the country, more companies have a new or renewed focus on HBCUs and building relationships with us. Would you share your thoughts on how you would engage Fortune 500 companies to partner with the SUNO campus? And please also share any specific industries you would target and the strategy to maintain the relationships long term.
I think what you're finding now, a lot of these major corporations, if they have not established foundations, they're establishing foundations. We just most recently just saw in the news just the last couple of days about the number of HBCUs that received billions of dollars from a lady who really had billions of dollars. So I think it's important that it's getting the word out. And I didn't discuss it, but marketing and how you brand the institution is key to make sure that you're noticed by these companies. A lot of people are saying, how does she get money to this institution, but she left out this institution that was similar. I think it was just about the marketing and branding of the institution. Some people are very aggressive in how they market their institution. There are institutions that you always see the president or the chancellor in social media. People are tied to that now. So a lot of times that's how they connect to the institution. So I think the key thing is, number one, is looking at how we market and how we brand the institution. Number two is how we are out from a media standpoint, both social media and our regular media. What positive stories can we tell? We know, and I don't want to get into that, but we know as HBCUs, a lot of times we get a lot of negative publicity. But how can we deliver positive things out into this country? How can you talk about stories of student success and where they're going and furthering their education or the jobs they're getting? How do you talk about faculty members who are writing these major grants and accomplished authors? How do you get the word out? And I think that's key in marketing and branding, and I think that has a lot to do with how to advance the institution in front of these corporate boards.
Thank you. Next, we have a question from Dr. Bashir Atia. SUNO is not a major recipient of federal funds, as well as Louisiana in general. What are your specific plans to secure more education and research funds to improve the education within the minority community?
I think the first thing is you have to utilize your political clout. Let's just be quite honest about it. A lot of institutions are able to really get federal grants and dollars just because of who they have on their staff and the political clout they have within those organizations. I think it's key as we look at that is to look at the person who is in charge of research grant opportunities and really be able to try to put them in front of those particular federal agencies that give dollars and cents. A lot of the agencies really truly look for HBCUs, but if they don't know that you're asking, they don't have a clue. Our U.S. Department of Education, yes, we take advantage of Title III, but what other grants do we take advantage of? When you look at the National Science Foundation has given tons of monies to HBCUs, but you got to be in front of the National Science Foundation to let them know what you're doing from a research standpoint, because most of their dollars are tied to research. So it's really about getting out there, ensuring that we are out front, and that they're aware of what we're doing on this campus. Again, it goes back to marketing, it goes back to branding, but it also goes back to the point is everything it's political, and you've got to be there. You've got to have the ability to be able to go into those offices in DC and be able to let them know what you're doing, and also take advantage of all of your congressmen, your senators. Make sure they are well aware of everything that's happening on the campus. And really invite them when they're at home, invite them to the campus. Make sure they know hands down what's happening on the campus. And so when you're visiting in DC for whatever meetings or purposes, you make sure you take that opportunity and time to visit them. Make sure they, again, know what's going on campus. So again, that leads to those efforts in receiving federal dollars and grants.
Thank you, Dr. Cheney. The last question that we have in our chat box is, how many years did you serve as a faculty member?
So I was a member of the faculty from 2008 to 2014 as a graduate faculty member at Jackson State University. I served with the College of Education and Human Development, and I've been a graduate faculty member since 2018 at the University of Missouri.
Thank you. This concludes our questions in the chat box.
Thank you, Dr. Merrick. Dr. Cheney, would you like to make any closing remarks?
Let me just say thank you again for this opportunity. I think that it's been a great opportunity. I am very well aware of the Southern University system. I was just telling the driver that brought me over about how many times I used to come over to New Orleans just while I was in Jackson. Lived there for almost 17 years. And so having the opportunity to take on a position and a role is great. But really the biggest thing is, when you look at a SUNO and all the other HBCUs across the country, leadership is key. And whomever the committee moves forward with, I always say the next 5 to 10 years are important to all of our institutions and where all of our institutions will be. So again, I thank you for the opportunity, and thank you so much.
Thank you for your time, and we want to commend you and congratulate you for progressing through the different stages in the processes, in this process. And you'll be hearing from us in the coming days.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr.
I
Cheney.
appreciate it. Okay, from the IT folks, I don't want to just pull this jump drive out.
Yeah. We'll have someone come up.
Okay, got it.
So we will recess general. We were slated to start the meeting at 4:15. What's your prerogative? What would you like to do?
5-minute conference break.
Sounds good. 5-minute recess. We'll be back. That will be, let's just say, 3:45. Okay, 3:45. If you all would go ahead and score your sheets, Ms. Gerald will be around in just a minute.